theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Wrong reviews it all on Joy Drive.
Suzy Wrong.
Hello, Aaron. Do you have noisy neighbours, or are you yourself a noisy neighbour?
That's a setup, isn't it? I'm the noisy neighbour. I'm the noisy.
Are you the noisy neighbour?
What sort of noise are you talking about, Suzy?
We've both watched the same TV show. We know what kind of noisy, intimate stuff I'm talking about.
I reckon I'm the noisy neighbour. They don't say anything. They always say, they've got kids and they say, I'm so sorry about the noise. I say, I don't hear anything, and they don't say anything back. Like, we don't hear anything either.
Oh, right. So they say they're sorry about the noise.
Yeah, I say, don't worry about it.
They're indicating that the walls are thin enough for you to hear each other.
I know. And then my other neighbour, she says, hey, hello, Cal, if you're listening. She says, did you have a big night last night? What about yours, Suzy? What are yours like?
Look, so I've been in my new apartment for 2 years, and it's been really good because on one side I've got the stairwell, the common building stairwell, so there's no like neighbor there, and on the other side I've got like the electric panel thing. Oh, so both sides I'm blocked, so I don't get any noise. And I seem not to get anything from upstairs and downstairs either, only really good smelling Indian food, which I love. Yum. So it has been great for me here. But at my previous address, however, it wasn't so great. The walls were really thin, and depending on who the apartment next door is tenanted out to, it could get very crunchy, shall we say.
Did you go through a lot of tenants next door, did they?
Yeah, I mean, I was there for 17 years, so there had been a few tenants. And there was one tenant in particular where I had to send her a very sternly worded letter.
Really? Do you know?
I'm okay with people, having fun, but doing it at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. for an hour or two is completely out of order.
When do you stop doing it, Suzy? What's your cut-off time?
No, I think I'm a very upstanding citizen. I think 11 p.m. is decent. Do you think?
You've got Did you say you've got the electrical box? Is that where you plug all your things in?
All my equipment.
All your equipment. Is that when the lights of Sydney dim all of a sudden? Suzy Wrong's at it in the stairwell.
A complete dungeon full of electrical appliances.
Oh, we can hear the sparks going off right now. Suzy Wrong, this week we're talking about a show that is streaming on Binge at the moment. It is called Tiptoe. I am really excited to hear what you've got to say about it, Suzy. Give us your review.
Leo is owner of a queer bar in Manchester, working hard for his community, living loud and proud as a gay man. The neighbour at Leo's home is Clive, a struggling electrician, a father of two, and a big old homophobe. This new limited series entitled Tiptoe, now streaming on Binge and Foxtel, starts shockingly by showing you in its opening scene the story's tragic and horrifying conclusion. Leo is hanged. He is dead atop a lamppost outside his own home. We then snap back 10 days to see how it all unfolded. Tiptoe is created by Russell T Davies, best known for shows like Queer as Folk all those decades ago, and more recently for It's a Sin, which we covered very enthusiastically on this very segment. Characteristically political, but also incredibly gripping, Tiptoe deals with the state of affairs in the UK at this very moment. The right wing is not only rising, it is getting increasingly extremist. The general economy continues to weaken, and nefarious elements are taking the opportunity to focus public grievances on easy scapegoats. Instead of looking at the real reasons for the widening of wealth discrepancies, meaning that the rich have taken everything, the media and political figures are telling the populace that their troubles are the fault of immigrants, of trans people, and of gay people. So here we are. After a couple of decades of progress, we are now back on the chopping block. Clive, the electrician in Tiptoe, is an example of a typical middle-aged and gullible white guy who has been radicalized by the right wing. He cannot perceive that the forces of capitalism are actively working against him, and he cannot see how his personal deficiencies have contributed to the miseries that he experiences. Instead, he thinks that everything wrong is to do with immigrants and with queer people. He looks at his neighbor Leo with disdain, but because they are separated only by a thin wall, their lives inevitably collide. When Leo is locked out of his home that fateful day and has no choice but to go next door for help, the two are forced to face one another after 14 years of intentionally avoiding any interaction. And well, one thing leads to another, and Leo meets his brutal murder 10 days later. Leo is played by Alan Cumming, who has made a career out of extraordinary charm and humor, which proves invaluable in Tiptoe. A lot of the show is very dark. Some of it is so harrowing, I found myself reaching for my Instagram just to pretend not to see what's happening. But Cumming injects so much joyful entertainment to the storytelling that I get sucked back in right away. This is really masterful TV making. The drama is delicious, its characters are intriguing and colorful, and its message is unparalleled in its potency. Tiptoe dramatizes the current socio-political movement in a way that is so pertinent to those who live in places like the US and the UK, where fascism is fast taking hold. It is so important that everyone takes some time to watch these 5 episodes, and for Aussies, we need to watch it, if only to be warned, to increase our vigilance. We have defeated bigotry of this sort before, and we are all well equipped to do it again. Warren, would you agree that some of this terrible stuff is starting to surface in Australia?
Suzy, look, you know what? I've been watching it over the past couple of days, and I've been struggling, to be honest with you. I oscillate between, it's over there, to hearing the news and hearing what's happening with the polls here and conservative politics. And I get a shiver and I think it's not just there. It's starting to creep here. And I get really nervous about it. And to be honest with you, I have been struggling with, after watching the show, thinking, is it a show? Is it just a show? It's just a TV show. Don't take it personally. But I can't help but think what's confronting is that a lot of people assume progress is permanent. And I think from watching this series, I keep thinking about what's happening behind the story itself, not just overseas, but here. We're seeing populist movements growing again. Pauline Hanson is more relevant politically than many people ever expected. And ideas that felt settled suddenly feel up for debate again, Suzy. And maybe we get comfortable believing that once a battle was won, it stayed won. But I'm starting to believe it's not. And I'm rapidly learning that what people target when they're unhappy is vulnerable people. Not like what you said in your review, Suzy. It's not the issue itself that gets pulled apart and, this is the problem. This is the core of why we're unhappy. And these people are unhappy, and it's fair that they're unhappy. I don't think anyone should deny that, but I can see who becomes the target of their frustration because it's easy, it becomes populist, and that's what you see in this show. It's very confronting, Suzy, but I would encourage everyone to see it. I loved it. I really loved it. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I'm going to watch the rest when I get home tonight. I'm nervous about watching them because I know what happens. I can tell what happens. And the uncomfortable question isn't where the hate came from, it's whether it was ever really gone. And I think that's the premise of the show. Wouldn't you agree, Suzy?
That's true, but I think, maybe I'm gathering my information from outside these 5 episodes. Like in real world, I consume quite a lot of news content. And what's happening at the moment is the people that are getting away with the wealth discrepancies, people who are making a lot of money before. There have never been so many billionaires. We've just had the first trillionaire. So it obviously makes sense that there are more and more poor people, when a small handful of people are grabbing all the money, then obviously more and more of us are getting poor. And these people are so rich and wealthy that, they're able to distract attention. They don't want us to look at them. So they make, like I said earlier, scapegoats out of some people. And at the moment, we see that the scapegoats always begin with, darker skinned people, immigrants, and queer people. It always starts there. And, and it will move on because once one group is used up, there's always another group. There always will be another group. And that's that, as well as kind of the old values that a lot of people have, especially in places that have like a strong religious foundation. I think they have always struggled with queer phobia, and that also is true, and that is also resurfacing.
Suzy, here's a question for you. I'm off social media. You know my view of it, and since I've been off it, I feel like an observer. I'm watching what's going on. I'm watching the behaviour that's going on, and I can see what people are doing and the impact that it's having. Do you think people are becoming more hateful, or do you think hate has simply been given a microphone?
I think at first it was, that more people were giving a platform to speak. So people who were hateful, had a bigger audience than ever before. Because it used to be that if you were a really fringe, a little bit out there person having really weird views, you wouldn't get an audience. But now you can find your own audience. On the other hand, I also think that people are influenced into thinking that their problems have a reason that that they're given fake reasons for their problems, and those are pushed very aggressively by certain people. Some people just enjoy making scapegoats out of us, and not just enjoy. I think on one hand they do enjoy. I think some people are cruel. They get off on the cruelty, and then on the other hand they do benefit. They make money from their media empires and what have you. That certain people are vilified in the media, and when you're constantly vilifying these people, namely us, they get the audience. People enjoy listening to these hateful rants 24/7, and so this all happens kind of like a vicious circle.
We're chatting with Suzy Wrong about Tiptoe, which you can stream on Stan at the moment. Suzy Wrong, I want to talk to you about safe spaces, because in this series on Tiptoe, the queer bar is the safe space. But when the electrician starts working at this bar, that safety completely unravels in an instant. And it raised an uncomfortable question for me, and that is, what actually makes a space feel safe if it can be challenged so quickly by one bigoted person?
Yeah, that's a hard one. We cannot completely seal off our safe spaces. We do have to live amongst all kinds of neighbors. I think in Australia, in my experience anyway, I think Sydney, Gadigal is a busy, busy place with a lot of people. And we have for, the 3 decades I've been here, I've always experienced Sydney-siders to be peace-loving. And I think we know that there are differences, but we know how to protect our peace. And I think we know how to, we understand that the peace that we have is mutual, and we all want the same thing ultimately. So far, I feel like that is still holding. We still, in a way, I think of it as an old-fashioned concept. Maybe, we have criticized the word mateship on this segment before, but it is a bit like an Aussie mateship, where we understand that, we are not each other's enemies, but in observing what's happening overseas, and how the same kind of techniques are being used by the powerful and the rich, they're trying to apply those same techniques here. I am very worried.
Suzy, if you think about it, I understand the frustration. We're all struggling with cost of living pressures and other pressures. They're common amongst all of us. The thing I want to say is it's not any one community's fault that these things are happening. There are other factors, and we won't go into them now in this review, but there are other factors at play here. It's not a community that has caused these pressures that everyone is feeling at the moment, and we're feeling them as well. And I think we need to remind ourselves that we have that in common, and we don't need to blame one particular group of people. I hope it's just a TV show. I hope it's just a TV show, and I hope it's one that's, just happening over there in the UK. And I hope that sensibility comes back to this country by the time the next election comes around. Suzy, what are we watching next week?
Next week, let's check out a short film on SBS. It's called Cold Water, about an elderly Aussie couple and how things change when the husband's dementia sets in and some hidden pasts come back to haunt them. Cold Water is an amazing 20 minutes for our chat when I see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.